Noriega-Bernstein Show. Now, here's Ed.
Hi, welcome to our show. Kind of a special show today. One of my guests, Amanda Ferrin, is here, and it's always nice to have my wife here, Claudia Noriega-Bernstein, who is a podcaster, author, and life coach. And in her dealings as one of those three titles, she met Amanda Ferrin. And Amanda, you have a really unique and hopeful story that starts, I guess, a number of years ago when you were diagnosed. Well, why don't you tell me what happened?
Yeah, so I have had many years of challenges and medical issues, but a lot really came to a head in March of 2020. I don't know if you heard, there was a lot going on at that time.
COVID.
And yeah.
Okay.
And
not a good time to have to be dealing with doctors and hospitals.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, and it was kind of one of those, you hear often now, a couple of years later, how the COVID situation kind of exacerbated other people's health journeys. And mine was one of those, probably, I often say that the last few years have been a series of you can't make this up moments. And the way that this kind of all started snowballing is another one of those you can't make this up moments, because I had been working and I worked with kids and things like that. And so my job had really shut down during COVID. So I started Instacarting, and during one of my Instacart runs, I fell and broke my knee. And because the orthopedists and all those kind of things, they were only doing surgeries on emergencies and medical necessities, they didn't want to do surgery on my knee. And I had already been diagnosed a few years prior with scleroderma, and had already been facing the challenges of what is called scleroderma, sin scleroderma. And scleroderma is
sin as in S-I-N.
Sin, yes. Yes. So, which means without. So I have scleroderma without scleroderma. And so imagine that that's probably a very rare diagnosis. And scleroderma, in layman's terms, for people that have never heard of that, I liken it a lot to multiple sclerosis. Is a paralysis of your muscles and your neurons and things like that. And scleroderma actually attacks your organs, and sclero being skin, or derma being skin, and sclera being that tightening, is the tightening of your skin, and your skin is your largest organ. And so rather than scleroderma affecting my skin, I don't have a lot of the skin markers that would have made it easier to diagnose. My paralysis is that my esophagus is like 90% paralyzed, and my stomach is very compromised. And so swallowing was really, really difficult. That's actually what caused the diagnosis the first time. Was they were doing these tests and would feed tubes down my throat and try to feed me through my stomach and things like that. And it was because my body was essentially rejecting all of these tests. Even they couldn't even get a marker on it. It was so extreme. And so I had been living with that diagnosis, had actually, found a way to go back to work and live life fully. But then I broke my knee, and the kind of systemic response of that, and the inflammation, and the way that inflammation and causes this infection response in my body, by the summer of 2020, which again, the world is still shut down and they're not seeing things. I started getting sicker and sicker, and by the end of the summer, I mean, it's crazy to look at pictures. So many of my teeth were falling out. I went in and I basically said to doctors, like, I feel like I'm dying. And they did several blood tests and everything like that. and I went into a doctor's office about a week later, and it was, the beginning of September. And number one, I'm a single girl in my 30s. I grew up, with a single mom, only child, so I'm very independent. And also, you weren't allowed to go into doctor's offices with anyone. And so I just went blindly into this doctor's office, and basically having said, the week before, a little bit, I have a flair for drama. I think I'm dying, and essentially I walked in and they were like, no, you are. I was in multi-organ failure. All my blood markers, everything was just off the charts ridiculous. And just very matter-of-factly, this doctor, because I was home in Colorado trying to get my knee better and recover from COVID with my mom. And so it was this doctor I had not normally seen. And they were just basically like, I'd maybe give you 6 weeks at most, 6 months.
You have something on, kind of a history on your website. I'd like to read some of the things that you've been through after you were diagnosed with Scleroderma. Your specific subtype attracts your internal organs, more specifically has paralyzed her esophagus, stomach, most of her GI system. Her pulse and blood pressure are constantly dangerously low from her damaged and severely weakened heart, causing her to be at risk for sudden cardiac failure, in addition to experiencing daily symptoms of swelling and dizziness related to CHF. I'll ask you about that in a minute. In the last 3 years, she has broken her right femur, her hip, her right knee, her tailbone, pelvis, and now has had this fracture on her left hip repaired. I don't know how current this is. Years of malnourishment have taken a toll, causing osteoporosis, and since absorbing vital nutrients and vitamins, as most people do, is impossible. Solutions to one medical issue have been ruled out because of her co-occurring problems. It seems to me like it's like almost every system in your body is compromised at some level.
Yeah, and so I often kind of call it medical whack-a-mole, because you go in for one thing and you think, okay, well, I'm going in for my broken bone, and this most recent kind of dental issue came because I had a fall that had another broken bone, and then from there they found infection, and that had all happened because I went in, and when they found my broken bone, found gallstones, and they were like, oh, we need to remove your gallbladder, and I'm like, what is happening? But at the same time, whether it was that day that doctor said that, or so many times along the way, a doctor looks at that, and oftentimes, they wheel in now on those iPads, they wheel around in the ER, and they'll wheel their iPad chart into my room, and oftentimes the doctor will look at it and start to kind of slowly back away, because the patient that's described on the chart of CHF, as you said, chronic heart, or like heart failure, all these things should not be sitting up in front of them. And that's where I know that it's only a miracle that I'm here. And in every one of these stories that, that is not even probably an exhaustive list of all the bones. I've now broken 25 bones, and they've said countless times, when I broke my pelvis or when I broke my hip and my femur, you won't recover, you won't walk again.
Yeah. Can you describe the emotional component compared to the medical component that you're going through? The emotional is just as hard in a lot of ways.
Yeah. And I feel like I live it almost with the blinders to the medical, so that I don't get stuck in the emotional either. in the same way that I choose not to be defined by a diagnosis in how it will allow me to walk or to show up in life, I don't let that diagnosis define the way that I approach each day as a gift and a miracle. And I mean, I'm not gonna lie, there are definitely hard days, but I wake up every day in more pain than I can really even put into words. But I know that in those moments, I tell myself, if I don't get out of bed, I won't get out of bed. And so it's taking that step, and it's that same thing. If I don't have hope for today, or if I don't choose to see the sunset at the end of the day as a gift, I'm not going to be able to see life with hope, and I'm not going to be able to see every day as a gift.
You weren't like that before your diagnosis? I mean, has this caused you to be more aware of those moments?
I think that the gravity and the immediacy of a diagnosis refines what was already inside of you. And so I'm so thankful that I, had hope, and I had a faith that was so strong beforehand, because while it was shaken, it didn't crumble. And instead, it was a foundation that I could build upon over the last few years. And so rather than come at this with, well, what is life and I should just go now, it gave me a mission rather than
an excuse.
Yeah, exactly.
Amanda's going through, obviously the most medically difficult thing you can go through. A lot of people, everybody handles it differently. Mm-hmm. When you talk to Amanda, how do you sense how she's handling it?
I don't talk to Amanda like if she is a sick person or an ill person. I talk to Amanda, it's gonna make me cry. I talk to Amanda like a billboard for people to know that you have in you the will to overcome things. Yes, there is a diagnostic, and yes, you cannot ignore it, and yes, you gotta take care of yourself. But you not giving up is what is gonna help you keep on going. So that's how she is. She doesn't introduce herself like, hi, I'm Amanda, and they told me I have 6 months to live. No, I am Amanda, I love life, I'm gonna keep on going, I'm gonna be a billboard, I wanna spread the word, I want people to know what this illness is about, I want them to know how it started, what they should ask the doctor. I want my life to be in purpose of helping others and paying forward. So that's how I see you. And I think that's how you are, right?
Yeah. I think that my hope has always been, I would say, I never wanted my illness to walk into the room before I did. I wanted my hope to walk in. Mm-hmm. I wanted the faith and the story of miracles to walk in before someone saw me as a sick person. And sometimes that's difficult because I am malnourished, and I don't walk fast and things like that. But I think that we all have our something, It may not be a terminal illness, but I want to encourage people that, it means so much to me that, and I connect with people so much when, Claudia, as you said, we didn't connect over that. We connected over, I think it was, especially, I was first drawn to your story of overcoming. And I think that when we so often lose our humanity when we isolate in our stories. And it's in that connection and coming together and saying, you know, our circumstances may be different, but we're both can carry the hope.
You know, you hear all the time, Amanda, how somebody's attitude can actually boost your immune system and be advantageous to you, you know, for medical reasons. I mean, do you sense that in yourself?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this also, I wanted to ask you about the expense of this, because look, all the medical care, all the surgeries, all
Yeah.
the fractures, all the hospitalizations, incredibly expensive, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's obviously another concern and issue that weighs on you.
Yeah, for sure. I often say that my miracle has become a math problem because, you know, you can survive and that can be by sheer will, but, you know, the cost of it is, it's crazy. And I, again, have just seen the miracles in that situation because I'm not able to work. I'm on disability. And I mean, my rent, I have to live in Southern California because
The hospital's there.
the hospitals are there and I can't be at altitude and all these things. And so I have to live in one of the most expensive places in the world, and my disability doesn't even cover my rent. And so a lot of it is this mission, because I'm not, again, alone in that either. And so my mission is to create a movement of people that join together, because people can, do fundraisers and there's foundations and things like that. But a lot of times you can raise money for a foundation, and that's great for research and things like that, but it doesn't impact a person. And what has impacted me is when, someone can come alongside me, and, sometimes it is financial, and sometimes it's just standing with you and encouraging you, or getting your story out, or walking the steps with you that you need to accomplish a goal. And so, I think that I have all these big dreams, and I think that, but prior to any diagnosis, I was definitely a dreamer, and so I love writing, and I love to,
Which you're writing a book
yes,
now.
I've written a book.
Yes,
We're just in the process of getting it
publishing.
out.
And then let's talk about your miracle movement.
Yeah.
Because this is something that I so want to talk about, because this is a way that you have really enrolled everybody into your mission.
Yeah.
Not so much focusing on the illness, but in the hope and the miracle that it is that you still alive, even though the doctors told you were going to live 6 months.
Yeah.
So Amanda created this miracle movement, and her dream was to walk around the globe, right? And how many steps is that?
Yeah, so my goal across the country. Now we've taken it global for sure. But I made a goal, when I wasn't able to walk anymore, and I had to, relearn to walk after breaking my hips and my femurs and my pelvis and things. I knew I needed to walk, that 10,000 steps thing. But that just seemed like underachieving. And I love walking, I love seeing sunsets. So I made it a goal to, at the beginning of this year, walk the steps in a year that it would take to cross the country. And so I calculated that was, it's over 3,000 miles. And so I calculated if you took how many steps are in a mile and all these things, it would be about 5.7 million steps, which if you, divide that out 365 days is a little under 18,000 steps a day. And I was like, no problem, I can do that. And so I made it a goal to walk, at least like 20,000 steps, just so I could, err on that side. And I shared that in a group and was just talking about some of my dreams, and also this dream of getting this book out. And somehow, as dreams often do, it kind of snowballed. and also knowing that I was facing these challenges with my mouth, and I'm constantly fighting infection. And I had a crown on my birthday that said "not dead yet," because literally I think I walk in and the doctors are like, oh, she's still here, who knows.
And she does have a good sense of humor too.
Yes, you gotta laugh about these kinds of things. And so I walk around with my "not dead yet" hat or crown, and people wanted to join with me, and so we made it a goal to walk those 5.7 million steps in a month. And people started walking, and what I thought, I could rally people that I knew, people that I didn't know. A teacher in Canada told her class about it, and I had met her through
Candace,
that same group, Candace.
My friend Candace.
And so she told her class, and they made it a goal. They were going to walk from their class, the steps it would take to walk from their classroom to the capital of their province in Canada. And they did it within like 3 days. And so they made a new goal, and they made a goal to walk from the end of their state to the other. And again, they far surpassed that. And the kids started getting more excited, and they started writing me letters, and they wanted to be a part of it. They were videoing, and they surpassed that goal. So then they looked up and found how many steps it would take to walk from where they were in Canada to where I am in Laguna Beach, California, and to get that and to make that the goal for their month of steps. And it's just things like that. People were out walking in Japan and in Spain and my
all
friend,
over the world,
yeah,
there's people walking,
just,
giving them steps. But I have a surprise for you, because my husband loves to walk.
Okay.
And he made a goal last year to walk how many?
I made a goal, almost for the opposite reason. I want to stay healthy.
Yeah.
Right, so I did the 10,000 steps.
Okay.
And I thought at the end of the year, that would be 3,650,000 steps if I
Yeah.
did 10,000. So December 30th of 2023, I obtained the 3,650,000 steps.
So she wants to donate you all his steps for
yes,
your...
I will take it.
And so far this year, I'm ahead of last year.
Okay.
But how many
Yeah.
did you make the total?
Last year?
Yeah.
3,650,000
Oh, there you go. That's what he's donating to you.
Awesome. And so that.
Some of
so
them
that,
in 120-degree weather.
Yeah. You should get like bonus
They should go
points
to
for
your
that, like
page.
proportion. Yeah.
They should go to your page and start
Yes.
sharing the steps.
Yes.
But before we finish, because we have a little time left, I want to give a little update of where you are. You're having a surgery, a very important surgery coming, and this is
Yeah.
one of the main reasons why we're sitting down here, because there is a chance that you won't be able to talk after that surgery,
Yeah.
because they're removing your jaw and your teeth.
Yeah.
And one of the things that you want is to create awareness, and this is why we're sitting here, so you can tell your story.
Yeah.
So how can people help
Yeah.
spread the word? How can people help with your mission?
Yeah. So I think that my mission is that I am doing this surgery because I believe that we can always make a choice for hope. And so I was given kind of 3 options, and at first I didn't even really think through this second option, because there was the very intense surgery where they would take out all of my jaw and resect all of it, all of my teeth, and basically I would be rendered unable to probably speak normally ever again, to swallow normally ever again. And I said, that I have made the most of the last 3.5 years by living every day with the best quality of life that I could give myself. And that just didn't seem like, if I want to live with such mission and purpose, that there would be a lot of mission and purpose to that. And the other kind of end of the spectrum was to basically not do anything and to just let the infection take over. And it's been, since then, I know, because my body's just I can feel it really deteriorated. And so this other option is they will take out most all of my teeth, but they'll be able to put in prosthetics, and they're gonna take out portions of my jaw and graft bone and do some different things. And a lot of this on paper, again, it shouldn't work. And so I went to 7 surgeons, said no, and specialists said no, because of my heart. I'm not able to be put under, and so I have to be awake for this whole process. And the doctors were like, just the shock alone that your body could go into is not worth the risk. And so, but there was this point that I just made this decision, and I felt like if my smile is very important to me, and so I wanted to be able to smile, to talk, because as you can tell, I love to talk as well, and I love to drink coffee.
And we have 1 minute.
Okay, so I am going for this surgery because I want to inspire people that it's worth it, and the fight is always worth it.
So if you want more information about Scleroderma, if you want to be able to follow Amanda on her mission and her miracle, Walking Miracle Network, as well as, hey, keep in touch with her with how you're doing this week in your upcoming surgery. Be supportive. She has a GoFundMe. She desperately would appreciate anybody's help in either standing next to her, supporting in any way you can, or just being aware and sending some kind words. I'm sure would be appreciated.
Yeah.
Amanda, thank you so much. Good luck on the surgery.
Thank you.
Okay, well, hey, when you finish the surgery, you've got to come back and tell us what happened.
Yes, and I'll say
Okay.
it's a miracle.
Okay. Thank you, Claudia.
Thank you.
Thank you.